My name is Jason Burrell. 我的中文名字是人有力。So my path, what led me to become interested in studying Chinese? Well, I'm of Japanese ethnicity heritage. So when I was in middle school, I actually had the opportunity to study or take a Chinese cultural class. And so linguistically speaking, it was pretty basic. It was only like a handful of characters and whatnot. But we watched like Big Bird in China, where I got to see a lot of different unique architecture and lots of beautiful scenery. And I didn't really learn a whole lot of Chinese in that class, but it was enough to make me interested in China and think about studying it in the future. So then I would start my formal study in college, where I would minor in Chinese at the University of Pitt. And now I just kind of continue studying on my own. So for my post-Pitt career, I'm here in Taiwan as a Fulbright ETA right now. And ETA stands for English Teaching Assistant. It's a type of grant within the Fulbright program. For those of you that may be unaware, the Fulbright program is essentially this like national scholarship that's sort of State Department backed. They send people overseas for various reasons, and the ETA grant means that you sort of become this teacher / cultural ambassador. And so I'm in the city of Taiwan, and I am working at an elementary school here. Due to COVID-19, there was a delay in the Fulbright program, and because of that delay, because of the uncertainty, I did apply for some jobs, and I have heard some pretty good news so far. So I am relatively undecided about my long-term future. But for now, I am focusing on my responsibilities as a Fulbrighter. So how has Pitt Chinese helped prepare me for my current role as a Fulbright ETA? Well, it turns out that Fulbright really does consider everyone's Mandarin abilities when they're thinking about placement. And I was able to get my number one choice, which is the city of Taiwan. And it turns out that was in part due to my documented level of Mandarin speaking abilities, or Mandarin abilities in general. And it's definitely been very helpful in my daily life, but in terms of my professional life, it's also been a real lifesaver when communicating with colleagues. It doesn't just make things more efficient, but it also helps us bond. I think with the lack of hurdles to communication, it's helped them feel more comfortable communicating with me and approaching me on a variety of topics and subjects. And I think that at the University of Pittsburgh East Asian Studies Department, and maybe the Chinese department specifically, there are just a variety of classes and courses that tackle topics that aren't necessarily the language, but like the cultural aspects. And I think having a deeper cultural understanding will be very important if you want to become a better communicator in general. So now I'm going to cover some tips that I have for beginner Mandarin language learners. I'm going to cover 3 things that I feel like are very common struggles. I think people tend to get discouraged because of tones, characters, and just the sheer number of vocabulary in Chinese. For tones, I think a lot of listening practice early on will go a long way in your language journey. To familiarize yourself with the various tones, something that doesn't really exist in the English language is really important. And part of the way you can do this, besides just listening, is to also repeat the sounds that you're hearing. That way you also learn how to formulate the words yourself. And then incorporating a lot of body movements, like using your head or using your hand, so that way you learn how to associate the proper tone with a certain character. And then we move on to characters, which I think the first 100 or 200 characters that you learn will probably be very difficult. You may have to just sort of grind them out by writing them repeatedly, or some people are able to learn them sort of as pictures, and I think if you can do that, then that would also be really helpful. But once you get past that, those initial like 100, 200 characters, then I think knowing radicals and understanding how characters are sort of formed in the first place will be instrumental in your long-term study. And a lot of people do feel like they hit a plateau at a certain point, maybe even multiple points, where they feel as though they cannot learn new characters without forgetting old ones. And I would say that this is very normal. So there's no need to panic if you feel like you're reaching that point, because I've experienced this personally, and many of my friends that have studied Japanese, Chinese, or maybe both have also experienced this. Now for vocab words, I personally feel like the different vernacular and word choice that is available in any language is part of what makes studying it so interesting and fun. It can be a reflection of different region, culture, and history of an area. Taiwan, for instance, there's a number of words that definitely come from the Japanese influence, and sometimes they're just synonyms that express slightly different meanings. I think this is especially common amongst emotive words, and so this could be vital in learning how to express how you truly feel about a certain situation. And it can also reflect a certain level of politeness and familiarity. So in the professional sense, it's also really important to have a good vocabulary. So I hope this was at least a little bit useful for everyone. I know that language study can be quite trying at times, but I do believe it is genuinely worth the effort. There's so much to gain from it from both a personal and professional standpoint, so I wish everyone the best. Hail to Pitt, 加油!